took it down another point. It's flourishing now. They're doing really, really good. Soil pH is imperative on blueberries to have a successful long life plant. And mulches that you use make a difference in how it changes the soil.
Can you grow blueberries in containers?
Yes, very well. And actually probably high bush is better a lot of times because they're not as aggressive. You don't have as much sprouts coming up. Low bush does very good in containers. They're shallow rooted, so they really will do well in containers.
And you have to have two.
Well, for cross-pollination of rabbit eye, it's better. Yeah. You're going to still have production if the bees are pollinating. You'll just have almost half the production if you don't have pollen. They're just not, the pollen from itself doesn't take a lot of times on the berry. So I would recommend 2. So if you're going to do containers, which I still have 2 in containers at my sister's that's been there 30 years in the same container. I'm like, are you ever going to take them out? She says, I take them out every so often and then put new soil in the bottom, because they're shallow rooted. They do very well. It's a good container plant. And actually that lemonade, that pink lemonade is Edible Landscapes up in Afton, Virginia is one of the ones that helped start that. And they really recommend that one for container because it's really pretty with the pink, fruit and stuff like that. More of an ornamental type thing. So 4.2 to 5.0 is more crucial for the high bush, to be at that pH that it is. The rabbit eye is a little more tolerant and will survive a higher pH. Our native soils here are 5.5 to 5.8, so you've got to put sulfur down. I used to recommend aluminum sulfate. I'm worried about the buildup of aluminum, in our area. So go with sulfur. I went by Lowe's Saturday to get some sulfur, and they didn't have it, and I was like pissed off, and went up there, my normal, how do you speak to the garden manager, please? And they took me over there, and it's called soil acidifier now. It's not sulfur. I said, I want sulfur. And the guy says, he starts laughing and he knows who I am. He said, Craig, look at the label. You've been telling me to look at the label. You look at the label. And it is. It's a granulated sulfur. It makes it easy. It's called soil acidifier. In a blue bag, it's just $3.95 a pound. Yeah.
So when you're preparing the soil, you would be mixing it in.
Yes.
The blueberries are planted in the following
You can still add it on there because they're shallow rooted.
dig it in, or you just
On top.
spread it?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the second year you just put it on top.
You go, let me say how important this is for blueberries soil testing. You've got to do a soil test to know what the pH is. And if you know you got to take it down a point, I'm going to get to that in more detail in just a minute, if you just wait just a second on that. Okay. No wet feet. Blueberries don't like wet feet. We went from raised beds, raised up to flat. We're recommending now, Bill Klein, our specialist at Raleigh, to always plant blueberries up off the ground 6 inches to where you've got airflow. Especially in the Piedmont, not so bad here. We do have some pretty decent soils here that have a lot of air in them. We're okay, but I still recommend that in the home garden. Raise that up to where you've got that airflow in there. Add organic matter. I don't normally recommend peat because I'm worried about the peat bogs being raped and pillaged in Canada. But peat works good. It's an acid forming. My favorite is pine bark chips. Soil conditioner works good. Soil conditioner is a pH of 6.9, so you're not getting the acid, but you're getting that pine bark that adds the air in. They love a 3% organic matter. We don't have that. So you add that in. So you dig your hole. Now who was wanting me to, you, listen to me, okay? You dig your hole where you're going to put the blueberry. Spend the time to do this. Trust me. Dig the hole, bring that soil out, put it in something. I put it in a 5-gallon bucket. Add your sulfur. Maybe a cup, would be, if you don't know what the pH is, a cup's going to take it down a point, okay, in an 18-inch. And, if your pH of 5.5, naturally, native soil, you're going to take it down to 4.5, okay, with a cup.
Per plant?
Yes. You got to take that pH down, people. You want it down.
What if you put it in a pot?
Same thing.
Got like a cup of 30% soil acidifier.
Yes.
Not a 90%.
No, if you get the stinky stuff, you know, it's about a half a cup, a quarter cup to a half a cup. Your soil acidifier is all that's available unless you're going to go to the co-op and have them order you some elemental sulfur is 90% S, okay? You can't hardly get that. A homeowner's not going to be able to go get that. They're not going to buy 10 pounds of sulfur. Thank you for clarifying. What is your name? You're awesome. You know.
I buy about a 50-pound bag.
See, I do too. You know, normally, but if I'm visiting somebody, I'll take that. But that soil acidifier is not as strong, okay? And if you take the soil test, it's going to tell you how much. You know, normally for blueberries of elemental sulfur, which is at the 90%, anywhere 89 to 91%, it's a quarter cup. Is about what you're going to use. Soil acidifier is what you're going to find on the open market as a homeowner. Okay, it's about a cup per plant. Okay, does that make sense?
Are you going to mix that in with the soil you took out, or are you going to dump it at the bottom of the hole?
No. Then you take that sulfur, you take the organic matter and all that into whatever container, mix it up real good. Okay, put that back in the hole. You know, then you plant your plant. Okay.
When do you add the dirt back in that you took out?
Whenever you're ready to dump it back in. I mean, you take it out, you mix it, and you got a plant set, and here you dump it back in, and you plant your plant. Okay?
But you mix the dirt with the sulfur and the organic stuff?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, it's a matter of a pile right over here. You know. Yeah. You know.
mix it all together and then dump it back.
You dump it back in. If you take that amount of time, you'll be very successful with your blueberries. Okay? And it makes a big difference. And I'm telling you that, thank gosh for your clarification, because you really need to know what products are out there. You know, you can't go right now and buy, you used to buy a 5-pound bag of sulfur. It stunk bad too. You could actually mix it with water. It's soluble. This soil acidifier is not soluble. It's bound to clay, and it's granular like a fertilizer. You know, and it's safer. And I thought I was buying. That's the way aluminum sulfate comes. That's why I was getting all hot and bothered. I don't want aluminum sulfate. I don't want to build up aluminum in my soil. You know. Okay, high bush -10. You know, is when you have a little bit of damage. Rabbit eye. You know, 10 degrees. You'll start having a little bit of damage. So we don't want to have them at a high elevation. Okay. The only other thing I forgot to put up there, I meant to take the page numbers off here. Sorry about that, because I know y'all are going to change books eventually. But rabbit eye is a little more tolerant to drought than high bush. So, you know, if you're in a droughty situation, you know, high bush may be a little bit better for you. I mean, rabbit eye. Free air movement is very important in blueberries. When we talk about pruning, I've got some big posters y'all can look at if you want to for pruning. You know, we adjust the pH. We've already talked about that. Okay. I can't believe I left all these page numbers on there. Organic matter. I've already said that. 3%. Blah, blah, blah. Excess fertilizer will destroy blueberries. They don't like the high, so don't over-fertilize. You shouldn't have to fertilize very much if you're putting a lot of organic matter in there. Mulch. I don't recommend compost in blueberries, even though we used to recommend that. Compost in our region is a 7 pH. You're going to continually raise the pH. Acid-forming fertilizers are not enough acid to reduce. All that does is just, you know, you're getting an acid-forming fertilizer. It's not going to take the pH down. It'll maintain your pH at an acid level in there. Okay. Oh, with blueberries, I don't think I mentioned this, and I forgot to put it on the slide, but, you know, like with strawberries, once it blooms, you're going to have berries in 30 days. That's not true with blueberries. It's longer. It could be up to 60 days. So as soon as you get the bloom, it's going to be that much time till you get your blueberries. So that way you can estimate when they're going to be production. Oh, there it is. Okay, pruning blueberries. And I've got a long discussion about blueberries, and if we have time, we'll bring the charts in. I've made these big, enormous charts in there. Blueberries are canes, just like blackberries. You can just get that in your head. We think of blueberries as a permanent shrub. It is, but they have a pith in them. Anything that has a pith in it is a cane. So we want to regenerate new canes all the time. So a blueberry cane is like a prima cane on a blackberry. I mean, the specialists would just freak out if they heard me say that. But that's, if you can get that in your head, that it is, we want to regenerate new canes all the time in blueberries. If you got new canes all the time, you're going to have new wood all the time. So a blueberry cane has to be 2 years old, just like a blackberry, to produce fruit. So the blueberry that's growing, the cane that's growing this summer, is going to set bud in the fall, just like a blackberry does. So if you've got new canes coming up down here all the time, let me get my little pointer thingamajigger. I promise in 3 minutes we'll have a break, okay? Right here, in there. You want new wood coming up. On blueberries, the old canes look like they're gray and they have a bark peeling on them. You want fresh new ones coming up. So every year, you want to take one of those old ones out. If you take an old one out, you let a new one that doesn't have berries on it this year come up. So you're taking an old one out every year, putting a new one in every year. So you're continually regenerating your bush. That's hard for you to do. But that's what you're going to have to do. It's hard for me to explain. So the first thing you do in pruning, there are steps in pruning. Have I got it right here? Nope. No, I didn't. Okay. On blueberries, and I'll show you this if you want to come with me. As you go in and you take one of the old canes, see them here? Really old wood out of the center. Last year you had a new one come up. If you're not having new ones coming up, your acidity's wrong. You should have all these baby canes coming up that are driving you crazy. You want them to regenerate. If you're not, and it's just got the same old canes it's had for 5 years, the soil's not right on blueberries. You should have new babies coming up all the time, just like with blackberries. Okay? Should be spreading. You should have a blueberry baby coming up over here and over here. So we take an old one out, leave a new one, and then anything low on the ground, about 12 inches out, we take that. If it's hanging down here, I don't want to be picking BBs down here. I want to pick my blueberries right here. Okay? So first step, old canes opens up the shrub. Second step, anything laying on the ground, and what we call it lifting it up. So all this stuff down here is gone. So now our berries are right in here. We don't tip this in the spring if we have to. If you tip it on the ends, what happens when you cut something on the top with all stuff? It breaks bud all the way down. So you have all these little baby limbs down here that are going to produce berries the next year, and they're going to be BBs. Okay? So, yes.
Explain that again.
Yes. Step one, we take out an old cane. Okay? Step two, we remove the lower stuff. Then we look at that bush and say, okay, it's a little thick in here. I'm going to take a little bit more out. Take a little bit over here. So what's happened is this old wood is come out. The bush goes, oh my God, I've got so much nutrition in my roots. It's going to bloom out everywhere. So then we can decide whether we want to remove some. Because we have taken, I'll answer you, I know what you will say. Because we've taken this old out here, this newer stuff on the sides are going to have berries down here on there. So the next year, this one goes up, and then we're going to take it out, and a new one takes that one's place. So every year you've got these young ones coming up. If you come over here and you cut this down like this, it's going to thicken all the way down here, and you're going to have a bazillion blooms that are going to be all small.
When do I do this? At the end of November?
Now. November through the end of March for our region works really good. Okay? I would rather you leave a lot of top up here. The buds were set on this blueberry plant last August and September. So no matter what you cut, the berries are already going to come up and produce. So you start now with the system of removing the old canes. Now you can't remove the old canes if you don't have new babies coming up. I don't have a picture to show you, but it'll be a really slick, non-barky, colorful plant that comes up. Sometimes you'll have an old cane here and a new baby will come out and go up. That's okay too. It's still a new cane with new buds. Okay? So, instead of like we used to prune, we would come in and just top and keep it small, that 20-foot blueberry bush. You chop it off, you have 1,000 limbs down here, and they all put little tiny baby berries on there. So we take the entire limb out, the whole limb, and then the new limb that comes up is going to produce berries the next year that are big old fat ones. Okay? So I'll get you both in a second. So if it's too thick, instead of tipping up here and thin it out, I'll take a whole limb out to right there. You follow me? Take that whole limb out, I've got room here and I've got room here. Rather than tipping, anytime you tip, you break bud below, you make smaller berries. Yes, I'll get you, then I'll get you. Yeah.
So you kind of prune it like a forsythia. You go in and...
Yes.
Is that correct?
Because if you, forsythia is a spring bloomer too, but no, don't even think about it.
But you do take more than one old cane out.
Yes. In forsythia, if you're trying to maintain a shrub up to here, my forsythia I cut off to the ground every year because I want it to bloom from the top to the bottom. With forsythia, you take old canes and let new ones come up. Just the same type of thing. But you can tip a forsythia and you can't tip a blueberry.
But take more than one of those old canes.
Yeah, and you want to have enough new ones coming up every year to where you can take one or two out, to where you've got new wood every year.
So I just want to make sure I understand that. So the 2-year-old branches are what are producing the fruit. So you don't take all of them out. You're kind of alternating. So you're getting new growth that will mature in 2 years, but you're also having 2-year-old growth.
Yes.
That has fruit, but you just want to create air inside the plant.
Absolutely. And if you want to tip, you tip in midsummer. Okay? So if you've got a new cane like you're talking about that's coming up, that 1-year-old cane, I'll get you too. If you've got a new cane that's shooting up and you've got a really good soil, that's the acidity is way down, that cane is going to go, whoo, especially with the rabbit eye, it's going to get 6 feet tall. A new cane's coming up 6 feet tall. Well, it's going to produce up here. So in the summertime, it's in the way. Just tip it. July. And then it'll break bud. Remember, blueberries grow in flushes. It'll break bud and put all these babies down here, and it'll have these great big berries low down that you can pick. Okay? That makes sense? Yes, sir.
I think the difference, though, is that it's not fruiting on a biennial cane-type structure like raspberries. It fruits on 2-year-old wood, and you want to keep the canes out just to make sure you renew the plant. But it's 2-year-old wood, even if the buds from that wood are from older canes.
Yes. Great point. So like what he's talking about is even these canes down in here, whatever growth is on these older ones that's out here. So like this is 2 years old and it'll grow this summer out here. That will produce wood. So it's going to continue. But what happens is the fruit gets further out, and further out. It only produces on the 2-year-old cane. So if you've got old canes down in here and we're cutting up here, you're cutting off buds at the top. Does that make sense? If you come to my pruning class, I'll spend over 2 hours just doing this. No, you can prune a blueberry from November through full bloom in the dormant season. If you start pruning a blueberry